Welcome to the tutorial on counters. A counter is also a cascade of flip-flops which is designed to produce a specific output sequence on application of the clock. Its primary function is to produce a specified output pattern sequence, and for this reason it is also known as a pattern generator. Each output of the sequence is dependent upon the contents of the flip-flops and is called as a state of the counter. Here you can see the block diagram which represents the counter, wherein we apply the clock pulses and we obtain the count, and simultaneously we can provide optional inputs if required. The total number of states in a counter is called its modulus, and if a counter has m distinct states, then it is called as modulus m counter or mod m counter. The order in which the states appear is referred to as its counting sequence. So you can see S1 goes to S2, S3, S4, S5 up till Sm, and this counting repeats itself. So this is the order in which the states appear, or this is the counting sequence. The counting sequence is often depicted by a directional graph called as the state diagram, which is shown here. This is the state diagram, and it is used to describe the operation of a counter. So this figure shows a state diagram for a mod m counter, where each mode, that is Si subscript I, will denote one of the states of the counter, and the arrows that are present in the graph will denote the order in which the states occur. Now the counters can differ by a number of basic characteristics, which includes the modulus, wherein you specify the length of the sequence, coding, that is your count sequence, the direction, whether you want to count in the upward direction or the downward direction, or you want to have a counter which is resettable to 0, loadable, that means you can load a specific value. So you can design counters for these specific characteristics. There are various applications of the counters, such as the system clock, the timers and delays, watches, clocks, alarms, counting events, memory addressing, frequency division, sequence control, cycle control, protocols, etc. So here you can see we have represented A, B, the two variables, and these two variables can have a total combination of 4. So I have represented this as 00011011, and this first block corresponds to the present state and the next block corresponds to the next state. So the usual sequence is from 00 you will jump to 01, that is what is being shown here. From 01 you will jump to 10, from 10 you will jump to 11, and from 11 you will reset back to 00. So you can see whatever is explained in the state diagram has been represented in the table in terms of the present state and the next state. Now coming to the types of counters. There are basically two types of counters: asynchronous counters and synchronous counters. Synchronous counters are the clocked counters, whereas the asynchronous counters are the ripple counters. Moreover, we can also have counters based upon the modulus, that is, as we have seen in this particular slide, modulus corresponds to the length of the sequence. So based on the modulus we can have it as a binary counter, a decade counter, or a mod 5, mod 6 counter, and so on. Also we can have ring counters, Johnson counters, twisted ring counters under that. Then you have up and down counters depending upon the way you want to count, in the upward direction or downward direction. Or you can also have the linear feedback shift register counter, that is LFSR. So in this particular tutorial we will be looking into asynchronous counters, synchronous counters, mod counters, ring counters, and Johnson counters. Along with that we will be looking into up and down counters, but we will not be focusing on the LFSR counters. Now coming to the topic of the ripple counters. So ripple counters are basically a synchronous counter and n state counter that is formed from n cascaded flip-flops. So the clock input to each of the individual flip-flops with the expectation of the first is taken from the output of the preceding one. You can see that in the diagram here. So the count ripples along the counter length due to the propagation delay associated with each stage of counting. So in simple words, if I have to explain you the binary ripple counters, I can say that these are the counters whose counting sequence corresponds to that of the binary numbers, and hence they are called as the binary counters. The modulus of a binary counter is 2 to the power n, where n is the number of flip-flops in the counter. So for a case of a binary up counter, for example, the counting sequence will be from 000 to 1111, say, if you are considering a 3-bit counter. So after reaching its maximum count, the counting sequence is then repeated. For a binary down counter, it will be the reverse order. If you are considering a 3-bit counter, then it will start counting from 111 up till 000 in the downward direction. So the main difference that you would be able to observe in the asynchronous counter and the synchronous counters here is that we are not providing any clock, and you have the output of the preceding stage connected to the next stage input. Depending upon this, we can make it as an up counter or a down counter. So let me quickly move to the figure which shows a 4-bit binary up counter, which is implemented with a positive edge triggered T flip-flop. Here we are using T flip-flops, and a total of 4 T flip-flops are being used because it's a 4-bit counter. And in the T flip-flop, for each positive transition on the C terminal, this is the clock basically, the flip-flop output will start toggling. So you can look into the table or the function table which shows you the way the counting begins. As mentioned earlier, this is an up counter, so you can see that we have given Q bar to the clock in this particular case, and we will be observing the output at Q0, Q1, Q2, Q3 and so on. So when you apply the clock pulses, you can see that you have the first count starting with 00, next clock pulse it is equivalent to decimal 1, then decimal 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then it resets to 0 again and the count repeats itself. So the major observation that you can do in this case is that since it's an asynchronous counter, we have the output of the preceding stage connected to the input of the next stage. With the count enable or the T inputs held at logic 1, the output of each flip-flop toggles for every 0 to 1 transition of the clock input or at every positive edge of the clock, which is shown here in this particular figure. So the clock input of the flip-flops F2, F3 and F4 are connected to the Q bar of the previous flip-flop, as you can see here. 2, F3 and F4, if I consider this as F1, F2, F3 and F4, F2, F3 and F4 are connected to the Q bar of the previous flip-flops, and these flip-flops change the state on 1 to 0 transition of the Q output, which corresponds to 0 to 1 transition of the Q bar output. So the flip-flop F1, that is this particular flip-flop, toggles at every positive edge of its clock. So since Q bar outputs are connected to the clock of the flip-flop F2, F3 and F4, a positive edge at Q bar corresponds to a negative edge at Q. So these binary counters are called as ripple counters because the ith flip-flop is toggled by a change in I minus 1 flip-flop. So there is a change in this particular flip-flop because of the change in this previous flip-flop. Similarly, there is a change in this flip-flop because of the change in the previous. It repeats. So there is a change in this particular flip-flop because there is a corresponding change in the previous flip-flop. So in this case, the pulses to be counted ripple through the counter. Since the clock pulses are not simultaneously applied to the flip-flop, these counters are called as asynchronous counters. So if you are considering for an n-stage binary ripple counter, the worst case would be the settling time that is required. So here I have considered the timing diagram once again, wherein I am considering the positive edge of the flip-flop and the output of a 3-bit flip-flop. So you can see I have denoted the settling time or the propagation delay in this case as TPD. So if I am considering the n-stage binary ripple counter, the settling time or the propagation delay that would be required will be n into TPD. That is n times the total propagation delay. For this particular example, wherein I have considered the timing diagram of a 3-bit binary ripple counter, I can say that if I want to compute the settling time or the propagation delay, it would be equal to 3 into TPD, where TPD is represented as delta in each of these cases. So the next thing would be to design a 4-bit binary ripple up counter using negative edge triggering JK flip-flops. So in this case, I have considered the 4-bit binary flip-flops. Now how do I say this as 4-bit is because I have considered 4 JK flip-flops, and I need to count in the upward direction using the negative edge triggering. To provide the negative edge triggering, what I am going to do is I am bubbling the clocks. So as you can see, this bubble at the clock indicates that it is a negative edge triggered, and this is an asynchronous type of a counter, so that is why the output of the preceding stage is connected to the input or the clock of the next stage. So when J and K is equal to 1, because as you can see all the inputs, that is J and K of all the 4 flip-flops is given to logic 1. So when J and K is equal to 1, the JK flip-flop will behave like a toggle flip-flop which toggles at every negative or 1 to 0 transition of its clock input. So you can see when the clock input goes from 1 to 0, the output Q0 changes its state, and when Q0 changes from 1 to 0, Q1 changes its state. When Q1 changes from 1 to 0, Q2 changes its state, and so on. So this clearly shows the timing diagram and also the sequence of the count in which manner it occurs. So next we have to design a ripple up counter using positive edge triggering. For this, what we are going to do is we will make use of D flip-flops. So before going into designing a 4-bit binary ripple up counter using positive edge triggered D flip-flops, you need to understand the concept of frequency division that can be done using the D flip-flop. So here, as you can observe, we have a D flip-flop wherein Q bar and Q are the outputs of the D flip-flop, and you are providing a clock to the flip-flop. So this clock corresponds to the input frequency which changes from 0 to logic 1. If you observe one particular cycle of this particular clock, you have this complete cycle as one cycle, this is another one cycle, this is another one cycle. So if you connect Q bar as a feedback to the input of the D flip-flop, then it is possible for us to obtain the output frequency, which is actually the division of the initial input frequency. So it is possible for us to divide the input frequency the way we want by connecting Q bar as a feedback loop to the input of D. So here you can see during one complete cycle of the input frequency, the output frequency Q will change from 0 to 1, whereas it is during the next cycle of the input frequency the output changes from 1 to 0. So the output Q will last for a period of 2 clock frequency cycles. So hence you can see that the input frequency has been divided by 2. So this concept will be very much useful when we solve the next numerical, which is meant to design a 4-bit binary ripple up counter using positive edge triggering. And here we make use of the D flip-flops, as I mentioned, without any count enable line. So by connecting the Q bar output of a D flip-flop to the D input, the Q output can be made to toggle at every clock pulse input. So same concept has been explained here. So this is equivalent to using a T flip-flop, wherein you have the output that keeps toggling. So instead of using a T flip-flop, if you connect a Q bar to the input of the D, then we can obtain the toggling. So even in this case, we are going to connect Q bar to the clock of the next one, Q bar to the clock of the next one, because we are talking about up counting. So if you observe the previous one as well, this was also an up counter, this is also an up counter. So both of them are up counters and output will be taken from Q. The only difference would be that this is positive edge triggered, whereas the previous design that we used is negative edge triggering. So the positive edge triggering and the negative edge triggering can be easily identified by looking at the timing diagram and also by looking at the way the cascading has been done. If you observe in this particular circuit, you can see that there is no bubble that is being connected to the clock, which indicates that it's a positive edge triggering. Next, let us look into some of the drawbacks and applications of ripple counters. So as we have seen that the carry propagation time is the time taken by a counter to complete its response to the given input pulse, and since a ripple counter is an asynchronous counter, it requires more time to complete the response, and we have seen how much time is required if we have to compute for the end stage ripple counter. The applications of the ripple counter would be that it can be used for frequency measurement, or I can say measurement of time, and measurement of distance, measurement of speed, wave generation or waveform generation, frequency division, digital computers, direct counting, etc. So how frequency division can be done, I have explained you. That is, we make use of the output Q bar as an input to the D flip-flop. So it's possible for us to divide. So moreover, it's possible for us to complete or compute the frequency and the time.